Today we continue with our discussion on medical geology, but we're paying more attention on its impact on animal health. And this is, of course, as we, have witnessed that times when animals tend to eat some things that are out of their daily consumption list, they are then things that also then happen in that regard. Well, this is maybe due to a lack of certain essential micro and macro elements that are needed in their bodies. Now, to elaborate more on this and other related issues on animal health and medical geology, we are joined in studio by Mr. Badumisa Sibolile, who is the Deputy Director of the Ministry of Mines, Energy and Industry. He, of course, is joining us to make sure that we get in on, that is the breakdown a bit more in the focus of animal health. How are we doing this morning?
Good morning. We are doing very well.
Yeah.
I would like to greet your listeners and I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much for being back here. If you're just tuning in, this is our Powering Our Future segment, proudly brought to you, that is, in collaboration with the Ministry of Mines, Energy and Industry. I think just to level the playing field for everybody, they might have missed last week and they are part of the class this week. When we speak of medical geology, can you perhaps break that down for us?
Thank you. Let me also start by saying that this is our third session. On the topic of medical geology. We started with the introduction, and we went into the application. So in the first phase, we introduced, or in the first session, we spoke about medical geology as a field, and then we went into the applications into the human health. And today we are going to deal with medical geology in relation to animal health. So in a nutshell, when we speak medical geology, we are referring to the interaction between geological materials and processes, and their incidence and spatial distribution. So this means where they occur and to what extent they occur. And these processes then have an impact or effect on both human and animal health. In a nutshell, that is what we refer to when we speak medical geology. And like I said in the first session, I had put a disclaimer there to say when we speak of medical geology, we are not going into the medical space. We're just speaking about the application of geoscience into the medical space as it affects our daily lives.
Right.
Yes.
Also, what are some of the essential and non-essential elements, important to animal health?
All right. So, for your body to function optimally, there's always supposed to be a balance.
True.
When you get sick, you are not well. Something is either too much or too less.
That's true.
So for your body to function optimally, you need to have all aspects of your functioning system leveled. So in terms of animal health, we have two types of essential minerals. We have the macro minerals and we have the micro minerals. Macro in the sense that these ones are needed in greater quantities and the opposite for micro. So I can take you through one or two examples. If you look at calcium, for example, calcium is a macro mineral which is needed for the development of strong and healthy bones and teeth. This is also applicable in the human health as well. If you look at magnesium is needed for to improve reproduction. This is very important for farmers. If you have a lack of magnesium, your reproduction in your head goes down. It's also needed for energy production, as well as the regulation of blood glucose, as well as blood pressure. Animals also do have blood pressure, so you need a good level of a mineral like magnesium. If you look at phosphorus is very, very important. And I must say that many of the farmers, I'm a communal farmer, very dedicated communal farmer. Many of the farmers, we just go to these agri outlets. And we just buy what they tell us, no, this is for the winter season, this is for the summer season. But we also need to understand, why is it for the summer season? Why is it for the winter season? And the reasons are because during certain seasons of the year, certain minerals, they elevate in the plant species, grass and shrublands. And during certain seasons, they go low. Yeah. So in terms of phosphorus, for example, during the green season in growing plants, you find that your phosphorus content also goes up. And as we get into the drier seasons, your phosphorus content goes down. And therefore, this is why you need to supplement for phosphorus. Phosphorus is important for reproduction. If you supplement with phosphate, you will see that you get required number or at least 80% of what you expect per season. I can also add to say, if you look at a mineral called potassium is also needed for metabolism, and iodine. So those are some of the minerals that are needed in larger quantities. But we also have some that are needed in less quantities, which also plays a role in terms of the health of the animal. For a farmer, you need to have a productive animal. We always say an animal that is not productive is like a burden to a farmer. So if you look at copper is a micro mineral. It's needed for proper development of antibodies. Antibodies are those that help us fight diseases and so on. Selenium is very, very important for reproduction, similar to your phosphorus or the phosphate in the macro minerals. But it also plays a role in production of enzymes. I have also here what I think is quite important, zinc. Zinc is quite important because it improves the immunity in animals. It also enhances male reproduction. So in your bulls, you need to have a controlled level of zinc for the bull to be that productive. It's also you will see that the skin of your animals, if it lacks zinc, you find that the fur on the skin is so wrinkled. It's not, you don't have that nice coat. So you see that when you look at some animals, if I bring you one that is deficient in one of these minerals and the one that's properly managed and maintained, you can see the difference quite clearly. So those are some of the macro and micro minerals that are important for animal health. But we also have the non-essential ones. The non-essential ones, similar to the aspects we spoke about when we dealt with the human health. These are largely heavy minerals like arsenic, lead, and cadmium. Arsenic, for example, has potential to inhibit growth. So you find these stunted animals. You see, this animal is maybe 4 or 5 years old, but it's going to look like it's 6 or 7 months old. So and too much of arsenic becomes poisonous. Remember, we're saying that too much is a problem, too less toxicity is a problem. So too much of arsenic can actually lead to death. It also lowers reproduction. Lead as well, the element of the mineral lead causes blindness in animals. And typically when an animal lacks lead, you'll find it grinding the teeth. So that's also these are some of the signs that that shows that this particular animal is lacking in one of or has lead poisoning. Sometimes we call it lead poisoning. We also have cadmium. Cadmium has serious effects on the kidneys, on the liver, on the lungs and bone, as well as the entire immune system. So these elements are the ones that we need to avoid. So if you have old lead batteries, for example, on your farm or at your kraals and those in communal areas, these are the things that we need to get rid of. Because if our animals ingest them, then we are actually poisoning these animals. So in a nutshell, that is what the essential and non-essential minerals are and how they affect the health in animals.
Right. That is the Deputy Director at the Ministry of Mines, Energy and Industry, Mr. Sibolile, making sure that we get in on medical geology, but of course with the focus on animal health. In a bit, we are going to be, I know you might be a farmer and you are, perhaps observing that, but my animals tend to, eat things that are of no nutritional value. Should I be worried? What does that mean? That will, of course, be coming up in a bit.
Namibia's mining sector is the backbone of our economy, driving development and creating opportunities across the nation. The Department of Mines ensures the responsible and optimal utilization of our rich mineral resources, integrating mining with other sectors for a sustainable future. From securing mineral rights to ensuring mine safety and environmental responsibility, we support every scale of mining operation while promoting socio-economic growth. Harnessing our resources, powering our future.
We definitely are very much stuck on the topic of medical geology, but of course with a bit more attention on its impact when it comes to animal health. And of course, the person making sure that we get the necessary breakdown of understanding all of that is the Deputy Director at the Ministry of Mines, Energy and Industry, Mr. Sibolile, who is of course joining me today to make sure that we hear in on all of it. Okay. And earlier, of course, we were talking about the essential and non-essential elements that are important to animal health. If you're just joining in, we are about to touch base with perhaps something you might have observed and you've always wondered, hey, but I've seen animals that tend to desire to eat things that are, of no nutritional value to them. And you are now wondering, hey, what is this, a medical condition? What is this situation? I'm not the one to answer that, but Mr. Sibolile is here with us, and he's the best guy to break that down for us. So for the farmer or just that individual who's noticed this behavior, can you explain that? What is that?
Okay, no, thank you. And I believe that for most farmers, I think once in a while or maybe once in a lifetime of a farmer, you would have seen animals that are interested in objects that do not appear to be food, no nutritional value.
A paper box of some sort.
Yes. Yeah. And that is, if you follow what we just mentioned a bit earlier, when those essential minerals are in lack, then they start to, naturally the body tells this particular animal that you need to look for this particular thing to balance. But now the catch is here that when the animal looks for this balancing act, it does not know exactly what to eat. And therefore, they go for metals, they go for old plastic bags, horns, bones, and all those kind of things. So that's a typical term in that we refer to as pica. Yeah.
Okay.
So animals tend to have this desire to go for metals, things that can even harm it.
Yeah.
And remember, if you go back to non-essential minerals, if you have the old lead batteries, for example, some old metals that might have cadmium, all these other things, so the animal is going to ingest that, thinking that it's balancing for what is lacking in its body, while in effect, that ingestion actually might result or may result in that animal dying. So this concept of pica is very important when we see our animals desiring to eat things that are not their natural food. It is a sign to us to say maybe it's lacking this, maybe it's lacking that. So depending on which season of the year you are, you need to start thinking, maybe my animal lacks phosphate, maybe my animal lacks calcium, maybe. So if you go to agri outlets, they will advise you, okay, it's winter season, look for this type of supplement. Remember, you only supplement that which is in need.
The
so
lack there.
That is lacking. So when we go to shops and where I'm looking for supplements, sometimes we get too general. We don't want to understand what that means. You are only supplementing, you are buying a supplement to add to that which is going to be, or that is in lack at a particular time. So we should all be aware of the element of pica. And in Namibia, one of the common deficiency is phosphorus again, especially if you look at the northern part and the eastern part. So we have the Kalahari sand cover where there are no mountains. That is, you will see that during the rainy season, when it rains, the water kind of drains away the phosphorus in the soils. And that's why in those areas, you always need to have some phosphorus supplementation. Sometimes they even advise that if you are in these particular areas of the country, you might need to supplement phosphate throughout the year because of the lack of phosphorus in in those soils. And the common effect of lack of phosphorus, like I've mentioned earlier, is that you will see very slow reproduction in your animals.
Yeah.
So if you're a farmer looking to be a profitable farmer, farming on a business principle, you need to control these minerals in your animals so that you optimally get the results that you intend from your farming project.
All right.
Yes.
And this is how the Ministry of Mines, Energy and Industry powers our future. Sadly, we are running out of time. And of course, we have to also bring you the news. Mr. Sibolile, thank you so much for joining us today. I think at this particular point in time, you have us all now a bit more curious, a bit more observant of, either our own animals at home as farmers, or those, who are just visiting relatives or friends' farms. There are a couple of things I think that have really brought about either something we've seen before, but also a better understanding in this regard. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right. Well, there you have it. That is indeed the Ministry of Mines and Energy, or the Ministry of Mines, Energy and Industries Deputy Director, Mr. Sibolile, who, of course, joined us today, breaking down medical geology, specifically so with, that is, its impact on animal health. Your news coming up right now.
Feel good on 99 FM.